and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. And on the show today, polling in the Indian state of Bihar has now come to an end, and all eyes are now on the exit poll trends from the state. We'll decode the numbers that are popping out after Bihar has just voted. And also on the show, Iraqis are now queuing up to cast their ballots in the country's parliamentary elections, in which Prime Minister Mohammed al-Shia al-Sudani is now seeking a second term.
I'm standing near the location of the blast site.
एक स्लो मूविंग व्हीकल जो रेड लाइट की तरफ आके रुका था, उसमें एक ये एक्सप्लोजन हुआ है.
A lot of investigation agencies are here. It's all hands on deck. The entire area has remained cordoned off. There are fire engines, fire brigades, police personnel have barricaded the entire area.
So the deadly blast that happened near the Red Fort has now triggered a multi-pronged investigation. An important part of the ongoing probe is, of course, the trail that the investigating agencies are trying to establish of the car that exploded at the traffic signal on Monday evening. But before we talk about Monday's trail, on your screens is the footage of the white Hyundai i20 that was seen on the 29th of October. The car was spotted in the state of Haryana at a pollution control station at about 4:20 p.m. in the evening local time. The car number that is visible is HR26CE7674, and it was undergoing a pollution check after being purchased. The 3 people were in this car on that day. And now coming to the tragic day of the 10th of November, this is what the investigation of the CCTV footage has revealed so far. On Monday at about 8:13 a.m. local time, the car was seen at a toll booth in Badarpur from where it entered into Delhi's borders. Now, shortly afterwards at 8:20 a.m., it was spotted at a fuel station in the Okhla industrial area. The car was seen in several other locations like the Kashmir Gate and Daryaganj, as well as, and then hours later at about 3:19 p.m. in the afternoon, the white i20 entered a public parking lot near the Red Fort complex. Now, the car remained inside for more than 3 hours and then exited just minutes before the explosion at about 6:52 p.m. The blast occurred near the Red Fort as the car was approaching a traffic signal. Now, CCTV footage from earlier in the day had shown the car coming out of the parking lot just minutes before it exploded barely half a kilometer away. The footage shows only one person in the car, but probing agencies are yet to confirm the identity of the car driver. Sources say that the driver could be this individual, Dr. Umar, the same man that the Jammu and Kashmir police has been on the lookout for. The deadly blast near the Red Fort has killed at least about 8 people and has injured many others. Now, the explosion's impact has gutted several vehicles as well, with many present in the area feeling the intensity of the blast. And for more details, let's take a look at this report sent by WION's Dharamjot Kaur.
We're outside the public parking lot near the Red Fort complex from where the vehicle in question involved in this explosion, the Hyundai i20, had left just minutes before the explosion took place on the other side near the Red Fort. Now, just to give you an idea of how this has transpired with respect to what investigating agencies and police officials are saying as they sift through hours and hours of CCTV footage to understand what exactly happened over here. Now, if my video journalist can pan and show you, that over there is the exit gate of the parking lot from which the car had exited just minutes before the explosion took place on the other side. Now, the exit time is being stated as around 6:48 p.m., but it had entered this particular parking space at around 3:19 p.m., which was 3.5 hours before it left the parking compound. So now the question is, what exactly was the car and the suspected driver inside doing inside over there for more than 3.5 hours? Coming now to the exit and to the incident that unfolded after that. When the car exited from here, I'm going to quickly pan and show you on the other side. Now, this is the main road that leads to the other side of the Red Fort complex. Now, this main road on the front from the traffic light turns right and it approaches the Red Fort metro station and the other gate of the Red Fort complex, which is where the explosion took place. One can say it's roughly about 600 to 700 meters from where we are standing right now at the parking lot. With video journalist Abhishek, this is Dharmjot Kaur for WION World is One.
All right, let's now get you the other big story where voting is concluded for the second and the final phase of the assembly elections in Bihar. A record 68.52% was the voter turnout that has been registered in phase 2 out of a total of 3.7 crore eligible voters. The second phase had 1,302 candidates on the ballot across 122 constituencies. Now remember, phase 1 had witnessed a historic turnout and that was lower at about 64.66%. But the second phase has in fact exceeded this number. Now this second phase will decide the fate of 12 ministers from Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's cabinet, and amongst them are the JDU leaders, the likes of Vijendra Yadav contesting from Supal and Cecil Singh contesting from Damdaha. The ministers from the Bharatiya Janata Party in the fray include the likes of Prem Kumar fighting from Gaya and Renu Devi from Bettiah. Other key constituencies include Sasaram, and that is where the Rashtriya Lok Morcha, the RLM chief, and the Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament Upendra Kushwaha's wife, Snehalata Kushwaha, is contesting as the NDA candidate. Meanwhile, Satyendra Shah of the Rashtriya Janata Dal, the RJD, is representing the Grand Alliance. Prashant Kishore's Jan Suraj party has fielded Binay Kumar Singh. And out of all of the seats that are going to the polls, the Bharatiya Janata Party has won 42 seats in the 2020 assembly elections, while the RJD had emerged victorious in 33 seats. The Janata Dal United had bagged 20 seats, the Congress had won 11, and the left parties collectively had secured just 5. Now, the NDA comprises of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the JDU, the HAMS, the LJP, and other parties, and is seeking to retain power for a second term. Now, the Grand Alliance of the Mahagathbandhan comprises of the RJD, the Congress, the left parties, and the Vikassheel Insan Party that is looking to take power from the incumbent government. The Jan Suraj party also says that it is pretty confident about its prospects. Now, the first phase of the Bihar elections has marked the highest polling percentage in the state's history, and the state saw a record 64.66% of the turnout in the first phase of polling, with all political parties interpreting the high voter turnout in their favor. Now, the results of the elections will be announced on the 14th of November. All right, so the process of voting is done and it is now time to crunch some numbers. And this is where the pollsters come in. This is the game of prediction that is based on exit polls, asking people who they voted for, and then to try and extrapolate that data to try and project as to how much each party is likely to win. So let's get use of the numbers that are now doing the rounds. 4 exit polls. The then is Bhaskar one, Matri's People's Insight and People's Pulse have predicted a sweep for the ruling NDA. These are the numbers that you're seeing on your screens. These are the exit poll predictions by the different agencies that have put out the numbers here. And they're predicting, pretty much everyone is predicting a clear victory to the NDA. The BJP Plus is what is clearly shown to be winning the elections in Bihar. Now, Dainik Bhaskar and Matres believe that the NDA could in fact secure anywhere from 145 to 167 seats. The Grand Alliance could struggle to cross even the 100 mark. Similarly, polls by People's Insight and People's Pulse predict a comfortable majority for the NDA, and the opposition Grand Alliance could, of course, stay under 102 seats. However, all four exit polls suggest that the debutant Prashant Kishore and his Jan Suraj party, which has made a lot of noise in the media, will struggle to make any mark, with the party predicted to win anywhere from 0 to 5 seats. And according to the exit polls by JVC Economic Times, NDA could end up winning 135 to 150 seats, while the Mahagathbandhan could get about 88 to 103 seats, and others could get about 3 to 7 seats. However, remember, exit polls are not the final word. In the last two assembly elections, this is the track record of exit polls. Exit polls had failed to project the accurate picture of the final outcome. In the last assembly election that was held in 2020, an average of 11 exit polls had projected that the Mahagathbandhan would be the clear winner. But on the day of the results, it was the NDA that managed to steal a victory. All right, now joining us on the broadcast, we have Ms. Shikha Mukherjee, who's a senior journalist. He's joining us live. Ms. Mukherjee, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, exit polls is the favorite game of all the pollsters. The voting is done, and the exit polls are predicting that the NDA, that is the BJP Plus, is going to be the clear winner. Do you concur with these predictions that are being made, or do you think that there could be a different result on the 14th?
No, I think that, however inaccurate our predictions may be, in the run-up to the final voting today, it seemed as though the Mahagathbandhan was neither cohesive nor coherent. And in JTU, or rather Nitish Kumar, his presence, he's the one stable and trustworthy leader in Bihar. And that, I think, makes a huge difference for the NDA's prospects in this election. And I will refer to the controversy over whether Nitish Kumar was leading the NDA and would be the chief ministerial face, or whether he was just the convener of the campaign. And that, I think, was made very clear after a while when the Prime Minister, or Narendra Modi as the BJP star campaigner, stepped in and said, no, Nitish Kumar is our leader and will remain our leader through this election and its outcome. I think that it was a really important inflection point.
Right.
That insofar as the NDA is concerned, this one leader, the leader who's been around for 20 years as chief minister off and on, sometimes with the NDA, sometimes with the Mahagathbandhan, is the face of the Bihar election. And I think that would have been why the numbers have changed so much from about 6 months ago, when opinion polls were suggesting that it is a neck-to-neck fight between the Mahagathbandhan and the NDA.
We should just point out to our viewers that the exit poll should be taken with a pinch of salt. They can be correct. Sometimes they can also go pretty horribly wrong. But the question of Nitish Kumar that you brought up, he's been in charge of the state of Bihar in either of the alliances for the last 20 plus years. Do you think he's done enough for the people of Bihar? Because if you look at the condition of Bihar, a lot of people say that, listen, one of the biggest problems that we have is that our youth don't have job. The reason why the Bihari youth migrates to other states is because there is no opportunity in the state of Bihar, which has been put in place by the governments for the last several decades. So with Nitish Kumar having been at the helm of affairs for the last 2 decades, do you think he can still continue to woo the voter of Bihar? Or is Tejasvi Yadav now showing himself to be a credible contender who can put up some sort of a fight? What's your assessment?
No, I think Tejasvi Yadav has not as yet arrived as the most credible political leader of Bihar. And I'm sort of juxtaposing the statement in the sense that Nitish Kumar is the most credible political leader of Bihar. It is not anyone else. Therefore, it's a fight between Tejasvi Yadav as the chief ministerial face of Mahagathbandhan and Nitish Kumar. Now, in that sense, Bihar's savage poverty, and it's savage, that poverty, which makes young people, educated young people, and the less educated, the neoliterates move out of Bihar and look for jobs elsewhere. That peculiarly does not impact the fortunes of Nitish Kumar and has not done so for 20 years. The other thing is that if you look at how Nitish Kumar fought this election, I think it's very important to realize that Nitish Kumar has continued to woo the woman voter. Right. And that is a constituency that is Nitish Kumar's particular preserve. And in that sense, his Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana, a kind of 10,000 rupee grant to women, has added an impetus, which perhaps was important. But, and I'm going to add this very clearly, there is also the other factor that Nitish Kumar is heading a coalition that includes the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, the Bharatiya Janata Party's campaign in most states has been of a double-engine sarkar. In other words, the BJP at the center, the BJP in the state, and together they will push the economic future of that state from being poor to better off. Now, if you look at what happened during the campaign, Mr. Modi was very clear. He was willing to invest 62,000 crores in Bihar to make it convincing that the new government that would be voted in would deliver benefits to the people, from industry to the Mahila Rozgar Yojana to 1,000 rupee a month stipend to unemployed educated youth and things like that. So I think there is a combination of factors which has given the NDA an edge.
I think we'll have to wait and watch out for as to what the people of Bihar have thought about the performance of their leaders over the course of the last few years and perhaps decades. We'll have to wait and see as to what the election result will be. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Shikha Mukherjee, for joining us with our perspective there. All right, so the voting process in the Bihar elections is complete. The results of the elections are awaited. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see as to who, of course, will be elected by the people of Bihar, isn't it?
Record result will come. I have said this time and again. The people of Bihar will give NDA a full majority.
Bihar is witnessing historic polling in this election. The way they, NDA, are calling people from outside to vote, we have heard about it. They, NDA, distributed 10,000 rupees to every woman. We had never heard that money is distributed during the model code of conduct phase.
The polling is underway in Iraq's parliamentary elections, in which Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani is seeking a second term. Now, shortly after the polls opened, several senior Iraqi officials, including the former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, the militia leader Qais al-Khazali, were seen casting their ballots in Baghdad. The incumbent Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani also cast his ballot in Baghdad's green zone. Sudani's bloc is likely to win the most number of seats, but may fall short of a majority. Now, the Iraqis are voting to elect 329 members of the all-powerful Council of Representatives that selects the country's president and approves the Prime Minister's appointment. Now, more than 7,740 candidates are contesting the polls, and almost about 33% of them are said to be women. More than 21 million people are eligible to vote, but there are fears of a possible low turnout.
فنتمنى أن المواطنين
We hope all citizens go out and vote so that change can happen. If citizens don't go out, nothing will change, the same faces will remain, and we won't have real representation in Parliament. Today, if citizens don't go out, nothing will be achieved.
ما راح نستفاد.
We must vote because the elections benefit us and show us who is corrupt and who is not. So we voted for the good people who will benefit the country.
Now, the influential Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr has urged his followers to boycott the vote, which might also contribute to the low voter turnout. In 2021, Sadr had secured the largest bloc before withdrawing from the parliament following a dispute with Shiite parties, which culminated in the deadly fighting in Baghdad. The parliamentary polls also have come at a very sensitive time for the region. While the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip may have reduced regional tensions, fears remain of another round of conflict between Israel and Iraq's neighbor Iran. Now, Iraq managed to stay on the sidelines during the Israel-Iran war back in the month of June. Baghdad also faces increasing pressure from Washington over the presence of Iran-linked armed groups in Iraq. And Iraq's Prime Minister Shia al-Sudani came to power in 2022 with the backing of a group of pro-Iranian parties. But he has since sought to balance Iraq's relations with Tehran and Washington. And today's vote will determine whether he gets a second chance at power in Baghdad. A bill proposing the death penalty for terrorists was passed in its first reading in Israel's parliament, a measure that will apply to the Palestinians convicted of the attacks against Israelis. The amendment to the penal code was demanded by the far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and was approved by 39 votes against 16. And the bill must pass a second and third reading before it becomes a law. Now, the controversial far-right leader Ben-Gvir had threatened to withdraw his Jewish Power Party from Netanyahu's ruling coalition, if the law was not put to vote. Now, Israel's National Security Committee claims that this proposed law will cut off terrorism at its roots and will create a heavy deterrent. Now, according to the draft text of the bill, the death penalty will apply to individuals who kill Israelis out of racist motives, with the aim of harming the state of Israel and the revival of the Jewish people in its land. Now, critics say that the wording of the bill suggests that the death penalty will apply mostly to the Palestinians who kill Jews and not on the Jewish hardliners who carry out repeated attacks on the Palestinians. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry has slammed this controversial law, calling it a new form of the escalating Israeli extremism and the criminality against the Palestinian people. Now, Hamas too has hit out at the Israelis and has called this bill a blatant violation of international law. The death penalty exists for a small number of crimes in Israel. The Nazi Holocaust perpetrator, Adolf Eichmann, was the last person to be executed in 1962. The American President Donald Trump met with the Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara at the White House, marking the first visit by a Syrian leader to Washington since Syria's independence in 1946. The meeting held between both the leaders to discuss the strategic partnership also saw the attendance of Syria's Foreign Minister Asad al-Shabani, the Vice President J.D. Vance, the U.S. envoy for Syria Tom Barrack at the White House. The Syrian Information Minister confirmed in a social media post that Syria has signed a political cooperation declaration with the US-led global coalition and will join the international coalition to combat the Islamic State group. In an interview with Fox News, Ahmed al-Shara said that his Washington visit was part of a new era in which the country will cooperate with the United States. Now, the American President Donald Trump also voiced confidence that al-Shara will be able to do a good job, leaving behind his past, who until recently was designated as a terrorist by the U.S. government. Now, Trump and al-Shara's meeting marks a historic shift in the U.S.-Syria diplomatic relations and America's West Asia strategy in ways more than one. Now, Trump also said that his administration is working with the state of Israel to get along with Syria. However, al-Shara has reportedly indicated that conditions are premature for talks or for a normalization deal with the state of Israel. And amongst Ahmed al-Shara's top priorities to visit the United States is to push for the full removal of the toughest American sanctions that have been imposed on the Syrian nation. And after the meeting, the US Treasury Department announced a 180-day extension of its suspension of enforcement of the so-called Caesar sanctions. Ahmed al-Shara, who once had ties to the dreaded terror group Al-Qaeda and was the target of a $10 million American bounty just a year ago, was named Syria's interim leader back in January. He had come to power after overthrowing Bashar al-Assad last year. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. Thanks for watching.